Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Thought I'd do another video for you guys. More you know, feeling better. I was fighting the zombie virus there for a little bit. So a little under the weather, and then I've been actually dealing with some issues with the bike. So anyways, I'll kind of get into that. I did end up getting to replace this. This is the, back up here, the Vanasche chain guard, if you will. So put that on there and show you guys how that mounts up, and then I can talk about give me a second, I lost something. Okay, got it. So I'm gonna pull this off. This one's 10 millimeter. This bolt over here, I think is a 8 millimeter. Then I figured I'll look in a second when I switch. So anyways, this is where the countershaft sprocket is, obviously, and where that seal was leaking. Pull that out, and let me check this one. Yeah, 8 millimeter. So I have that one up there, and then this one down here. And like I said, the one up here, if you want to use a Torx, I think it's a Torx 40, and the one down here is a Torx 30. Again, they're 10 millimeter, 8 millimeter. Anytime I can go for the socket, I'm always going to do that. So, all right, so we have that off. So anyways, sprocket obviously, and then here's the rod that actually travels through into the motor, and there's a sealing kit that goes behind there, behind this nut, and then there's a washer. Anyways, that was leaking, and it was actually running down. I didn't really notice it during the ride, luckily. If the oil leak would have been bad, obviously that could have been catastrophic if it would have come down and I would have run over it with the back tire, or if it would have sprayed onto the back tire. But it was running down off of the chain back onto the back side of the case, and then down the case, and it was actually landing right here on the drain bolt, the main drain bolt, and then kind of curving up underneath the bottom of the case. So initially when I was chasing it, I thought it was either the screen filter plug or the main drain bolt. So I did actually go out and buy a whole oil change kit and change the oil on the bike. I think maybe I had 100 miles on it. And I went ahead and just replaced everything, the screens, the filters, the O-rings, and obviously the crush washer, and put everything back together. Figured if I'm going to do that one, since I was going to lose some oil, I might as well do the whole thing. So anyways, went ahead and did all that, and then went for a ride either that day or the following day, and still had the issue. And it was just progressively getting worse and worse. I wasn't seeing too much oil actually on the ground dripping off the bike. There were a couple drops, but it seemed to be settling mostly on the bike. And like I said, luckily it wasn't enough to where it was dripping while I was riding the bike onto the road, and it wasn't really making a mess in the garage or anything. So, but luckily I was able to kind of chase that down, and the dealer was happy to work with Husqvarna to get it fixed for me. So that was very nice. So anyways, I just realized I was pointing at stuff and the stuff wasn't in the frame. So anyways, right down here, obviously, if you guys have the bike, or when you get the bike, main drain bolts here. One of the oil filter screens is in here, and then this is kind of right here. There's a real kind of flat spot on the bottom of the case, and that's where the oil was settling at most of the time. So anyway, something to look out for. I know I've talked to a couple of people, or quite a few people, that said they had a problem with the slave cylinder, which is this piece right here. Funny that it's right next to it. It's like issue, two different parts. Yeah, so I'll probably be ordering. There's a couple companies that make nice aftermarket ones, Oberon and somebody else that I know of. So probably be ordering one. I don't know that I'll put it on right away. I might just save it and see if I have an issue. I might put it on preemptively and just get it over and done with, and then I don't have to worry about it. But I may get lucky. I've talked to a couple people. They've had their bikes for 2, 3, 4 years, and they've never had an issue, and it's been fine. Same thing. I don't know that I've talked to anybody that's had their countershaft seal go out when the bike was brand new. I've talked to a couple people that have 15, 20,000 miles on similar bikes, mostly enduros, that ride them pretty hard, and they've had to replace theirs. Theirs leaked eventually, but I don't know. I haven't bumped into anybody else that has a brand new bike that had the problem. So, anyways, moving on to the Vanasche, it's the part number is KTM 690 CS is what they have listed on their wrapper. So anyways, we'll get back to this. There's no instructions, so a little bit of figuring out. This goes up here. Okay, so I need to pull this bolt out. So both of these bolts get replaced. The bolts that go in there are same length and same diameter, and then there's one here, and then there's this unit. I'm assuming the longer end would go out because this kind of acts as a bump stop for the chain, so it wouldn't make sense for it to be the smaller one, but we'll see how it goes together here. Anyways, get this one out. Hopefully, I would think that this slave, I'm sure it's got a gasket on it, so hopefully we don't lose any fluid here, but I would think with the gasket and then just the one bolt under tension, to see with my gloves on. But anyways, kind of a stop up against this, since the front of the bolt face, which is normally going to be putting tension on that, is going to be on the front of the chain guard. So these little things should go in there. So that's my thought anyway. So we're going to kind of roll with that. I will have to check, probably reach out to Vanasche and check and see if they have any recommended torque settings, because there are no instructions. So get those in there. Let's get those started. That looks good. And then this should slide in like that. And then there's a replacement longer bolt that goes in here. And this, it seems like it just kind of, it doesn't really hook in there, but it kind of just beds, curves underneath on the inside of this and rests kind of up on the top. So that just seems like the logical place for it to go. So just get these snugged up. And then, like I said, the bike's just going to be sitting here, probably not going anywhere for a little bit, so I can reach out to Vanasche and confirm, see if they have any recommended torque specs. If not, I will figure it out on my own. I think I'm missing the holes going into the frame here. There we go. Just spinning into nothing. Happens. Alright, so we're just going to do these, just a kind of a soft hand tight. More these I'm concerned about because of the slave. Obviously I don't want it to start slowly dripping oil. So anyways, there's that on there. That looks so much better. It's nice to have it open like that. For one, it looks great. For two, it's nice to see if you're getting any buildup or anything in here, and you've got a lot better access where you could get in there and clean it out with a hose, pressure washer, towel, whatever you want to use would be nice. So that is very nice. All right, I think we can probably squeeze one more little project in here. All right, guys and gals, of course. Jumped over on the other side of the bike. What we're going to do, the oil fill cap. I went ahead and picked up the one that Husqvarna has available. Oil plug CPL is what it's called. Part number is 2613092004. And here's what it looks like. It's basically a billet cap. It is slotted, unfortunately only in one direction. I wish it was slotted all the way around, but something that I'm used to just having a little bit more protection on, so I figured I'd get this one so it's not so easy to get into, for one, if you're out and about and you park the bike somewhere, and for two, just to, I don't know, clean it up a little bit. It's not quite the same blue as the chain guard, but since they're on the opposite side of the bike, it's close enough. So just be nice if I had a little bit more flexibility there. I know I've seen a couple from some other companies, but nothing that was slotted, and that was the key thing. I didn't want to have to drill it. I don't know if you guys can pick that up on the camera there. So it's drilled there and it goes all the way straight through. So anyways, we'll get this put on here real quick, and then I'm going to actually wire it as well so you guys can see that. And it doesn't actually, I mean, it snugs up pretty good once you get it on there. A little piece of paper towel here. Get a little wipe. The new one does come with a little O-ring. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a little dab of oil on that before I put it onto the actual seal, just a very little bit. And then just kind of walk it down and over the threads, which is actually tougher on this than it should be. Let me grab a little screwdriver real quick, actually. Give me 1 second. Okay, a little screwdriver. I think we can just finesse it. There's actually like a little bit bigger ridge at the top. Pretty aggressive. You can see right there, the channels are pretty deep. So anyways, got it on there. Just pushed it up, brought it up to the top. Another little bit of oil on here. Get this off. Alright, got a socket here. So this is actually 13 millimeter. The same thing, just hand tight till you feel that. I can feel that washer. I'm just like a couple fingers, or that O-ring, I should say. If you can feel that O-ring kind of bedding in there, and that should be good. All right, so now to the wire. So anyways, what I'm doing, I'm just measuring. So from the bolt down to where it is, there's actually a hole in the bottom of the case down here, so that'll work out, and that's when we run it to. So just a little bit longer than that, and then I'm doubling that up, and then you'll need a pair of, you don't have to get them, but a pair of safety wire pliers. That's nice to have. It's actually got a cutter built in, so you can do that, and then run the wire through the bolt. You can see why I was like, it'd be nice if it was top to bottom, if the screws were all the way around, depending on where the bolt is. And if you're doing it yourself, doing the wiring yourself, a lot of times you'll make that happen. So you've got that flexibility, because take the bolt out and put the bolt in, it's not always going to land back in the exact same spot. So anyways, a couple ways you can go around the face of the bolt, or you could go so it's over the top. I'll probably just go around the face of the bolt. So you get down on the bottom of your 2 pieces of wire, and then there's a locking, move this back here, it's a locking collar right here that'll keep the jaws shut. And then back here it's got kind of a spring-loaded pigtail on it. So anyways, you just kind of rest the pliers and you're pulling this. You can see the pigtail here, and it just kind of corkscrews out and spins the wire. The wire is pretty strong, but at some point you will reach the kind of the elastic limit, if you will, and snap the wire. And if that's the case, well, you just need to get some new wire and start over. The wire comes in these spools, and gosh, I don't know how much is in here, but I've had the same spool for a long time, and done quite a bit of safety wiring, and I'm still working off the same spool. So I did overwind this a bit. All right, that should be good. And then what we're going to do, I'm actually going to put, so I don't have the wire dragging on the case here, I've got some just some vinyl tubing that I had for another project. So I'll just make a little piece of this. That should work out pretty good. Let's put these ends together. Just a little bit of tubing over it, and just feed it on there. And then, like I said, it's just a buffer, so it's not for whatever reason, whether it's wind or whatever, the tubing's not, or the wire's not rubbing up against the case. You will have a little bit down here, obviously. So this one, and then you take your open end, and you basically just do the same thing again. Get it locked up here. With that collar. And just give it a couple spins, and then when you want to release it, just pulling on the pliers. It's a little bit extra here, so I'll just nip it with the wire cutter that's built into the pliers, and then take the edge of this and just spin it a couple times. Get in here a little bit closer so you guys can see this. So here's the edge of it where I spun it, and then up here it's pretty open. And like I said, it's meant to be a safety thing when you're talking on bikes, especially racetrack, track days and stuff like that. It's just something, if for some reason vibration or whatever did want to spin the bolt back out, it can't spin very far before the tension of this wire stops it. So it's not that it's super strong, but usually if the bolt's backing out, it's just based off vibration. There's no mechanics behind it, so you don't need much to stop it. But anyways, something a little bit different, and that's on there. Obviously when I change the oil, I'm gonna have to cut the wire, and I'd have to redo this. The plug cap I can still reuse, and then obviously the vinyl tubing will get reused. I just have to replace the wire, but not that big of a deal to change the wire out. So alrighty guys, have a good one, and be safe, keep the rubber side down. Thanks, bye.